Welcome back, guys. So today we'll be starting with a new topic in CNS, that is ascending pathways, right? So before starting, let me just give you an introduction about how to deal with these ascending pathways, right? So first of all, we will be having skin act as receptors, and from this it travels through spinal cord. It travels through spinal cord, and from the spinal cord it moves to thalamus. And from thalamus it moves to your sensory cortex. The impulse move to sensory cortex. Now what really happens when the impulses travels from skin to spinal cord? This we call it as first order neuron. That's it, first order neuron. Similarly, from spinal cord to thalamus we have second order neuron. That's it. Similarly, from thalamus to sensory cortex, what order neuron? Yes, third order neuron. That's it. The most important thing what you have to discuss is that in spinal cord you have got tracts. What are those tracts? Yes, first important thing what we are going to discuss is the dorsal column pathway. That's it. Okay. The next important thing is anterolateral pathway. So here the dorsal column pathway is a very important question, 15-mark essay question for you in your examination, right? So they can be asking you about dorsal column pathway, and that only we are going to discuss in detail about dorsal column pathway, and also we are going to differentiate between dorsal column pathway and anterolateral pathway. So pay attention. Okay, so let's move on with our dorsal column pathway. So how you should be writing this dorsal column pathway is dealing with your order of neurons. So we discuss about we have three order of neurons, right? So we discuss. So based on this, you will be segregating your answer based on the neurons, right? So now these are your receptors. What are those? Fine touch, vibration, proprioception, tactile localization, tactile discrimination, and also stereognosis. These all are your receptors, and from the receptors it is moving to the spinal cord. This is your dorsal column pathway, right? So we have first order neurons. Okay, now they are moving to where? This location is called as something tractus cuneatus and tractus gracilis. Okay, so here we are having the dorsal column pathways into, yes, tell me, in the spinal cord we are having as tractus cuneatus and tractus gracilis, right? So what you want to know is that this gracile fasciculus, is it medial to spinal cord or lateral? It is medial, right? So it is the most, it is located medially, first point. And of course your tractus cuneatus will be placed laterally, right? Apart from that, a very important thing to be noted down is that tractus gracilis is going to supply your lower limbs. That's it. This is specific to tractus gracilis. Now what about tractus cuneatus? It is going to supply your upper limbs. So only if there is loss of proprioception to my right shoulder joint, then where am I going to get my lesion? There is a lesion in the tractus cuneatus. Let me ask you another question. If there is loss of proprioception in my ankle joint, where will be the lesion? Yes, there is a lesion in the tractus gracilis. Did you understand? Okay. Now we saw that it is moving through the spinal cord, and this will be your first order neurons. So first order neurons is going to end where? Through your nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus in the medulla. But now listen carefully. In dorsal column pathway, that through specifically in medulla, there is crossover. Can you see here? There is crossover, and that we call it as ipsilateral. It is ipsilateral to spinal cord. Am I right? So it is ipsilateral to spinal cord. That is why there is crossover at the level of medulla. Very important. Okay, there is crossover at the level of medulla. Fine. So when there is crossover, it moves to the thalamus, relay station. Okay, so thalamus, and then from thalamus it is going to the your sensory cortex. Got it? Fine. Now how to write in the examination? First order neurons. You will be writing all those receptors, and it's moving through the spinal cord. Okay, and you will be naming it as tractus cuneatus and tractus gracilis. You will be describing about them, and then it ends in the nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. And the second order neurons, what is that? It starts in the nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus and ends in the thalamus. We'll be discussing about that. Fine. Next, third order neurons, from thalamus it moves in sensory cortex, that is specifically to the post-central gyrus area 3, 1 and 2. That's it. This is all about your dorsal column pathway. Next, we'll be moving on with the anterolateral pathway. Okay. Next, we'll be moving on with the anterolateral pathway. Very simple. See, anterolateral pathway, look at the receptors. Very simple. That is pain, temperature and crude touch pressure. Right? But very important, where is the crossover occurring? The crossover occurs at the spinal cord. That's it. Right? So since the crossover occurs at the spinal cord, it is called as contralateral. It is called as contralateral. Very important point. Please note down. It is called as contralateral. And since the crossover occurs in the spinal cord, it moves up, and in medulla there is no really in medulla. Means what? There is no kind of crossover. It's not taking place in the medulla, and is directly moving to the thalamus relay station. That's it. Right? And then it moves directly to the sensory cortex. This is your anterolateral system. Very simple. Okay. Now what is the difference between, very important question they are asking you, what is the difference between dorsal column pathway and anterolateral pathway? Very important. What we discussed, that see, in dorsal column pathway there will be more amount of myelinated fibers, right? Since there is more amount of myelinated fibers, there will be, how will be the conduction speed? It will be more. Okay, there will be fast conduction. That's it. Right? So dorsal column pathway, more amount of myelinated fibers, so there is fast conduction. Anterolateral pathway, there is more amount of, what is the opposite of myelinated fibers? Unmyelinated fibers. That's it. So since there is more amount of unmyelinated fibers, how will be the conduction? That's it. Slow conduction. You got the answer. Next, what are the senses? What are the senses? See, we discussed that the sense will be very, very fast. There is a fastest sensation. Okay, and that we call it as through proprioception. Your proprioception will be very, 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 very high. Apart from that, the receptors, if you see, that is our fine touch. Apart from that, vibration, Yes, what all we discussed? Any idea? Can you please tell me? Yes, stereognosis. Okay, fine, this is enough. Okay, now in anterior lateral pathway, what are the sensations? What are the sensations? Tell me. These are pain, temperature, and then your crude touch. Pain, temperature, and your crude touch. We discussed here. See, pain, temperature, and your crude touch. Yes or no? Right. So these are your sensations. Apart from that, we also discussed it is ipsilateral. Which one? Dorsal column pathway is ipsilateral. Ipsilateral to the spinal cord. Spinal cord. Right? Because the crossover occurs at the level of medulla. Crossover occurs at the level of medulla. That's it. Here it is contralateral. It is contralateral, which means yes, it is the crossover occurs in the spinal cord itself. So we call it as contralateral. Do you understand this part? Okay. So now we'll be discussing about pain receptors. Okay, listen carefully, look at the basics. If you have a skin, this is your skin, you will be having a free nerve endings. Because of this free nerve endings, there is attachment to your A delta. Here it will be C fibers, A delta fibers, C fibers. Now what is the most important point to be noted here? See, here the pain stimuli, okay, if you want a pain stimuli to be conveyed, it has to be conveyed through your free nerve endings. Through what? Through A delta and C fibers. That's it. Pain stimuli is conveyed by your free nerve endings of A delta and your C fibers. That's it. Right? Now let us differentiate. What do we mean by A delta and C fibers? This we are going to differentiate. Similarly, A delta fibers, they are more of myelinated. Now you tell me, if I say the word myelinated, are they fast conduction or slow conduction? Fast conduction. We are talking about pain here, so it will be fast pain. That's it. Not only fast pain, we call this as first pain. Enough. Here in C fibers, they are unmyelinated and they conduct slow pain. That's it. Or your second pain. Now how the pain will be in A delta? How the pain will be in A delta? Can you please describe it? Yes, it will be very sharp, it will be pricking, and also there will be acute pain. That's it. It's very sharp, it will be very pricking and acute pain. Right? In C fibers, it will be very dull, diffuse. Look at the terms, diffuse. It is chronic, opposite to acute, and also we get burning sensation. We call it as burning pain. That's it. Look at this diagram. We have C fiber here and also A delta fiber here to give us pain sensation. Right? We also differentiated between A delta and the C fibers. And let's see what all is there. Yes, we have the pathway also. Okay. So since we are having pathway, we have to discuss in detail about the pain receptors, right? Fine. So A delta, okay, if you see here, what kind of pain will be there? Means it is called as let me use a different color. It is called as neospinothalamic pain. Neospinothalamic pain. Neo means what? It is new. It is new in evolution. It is new in evolution. That's it. Fine. And what about this one, C fibers? It is called as paleo-spinothalamic pain. Paleo means it is old in evolution. That's it. Paleo means old in evolution, right? So neospinothalamic pain and paleo-spinothalamic pain. Okay, fine. Now for delta, that is A delta fibers, we are having a neurotransmitter. What is this neurotransmitter in A delta? It is called as glutamate. Apart from that, in C fibers, we are also having a neurotransmitter that is called as polypeptide. Not polypeptide. Sorry. So in C fibers, we are having a neurotransmitter that is called as substance P. Substance P. So here we are having it as glutamate, and in the C fibers we are having substance P. That's it. Understand? Okay. So now let us look at the pathway. It will be very simple. See, can you see this C fibers here? Yellow color one. Can you see this moving here? And this we call it as paleo-spinothalamic pathway. Paleo means old in evolution. See what all carries. It carries hypothalamus, periaqueductal gray and reticular formation, and moves to the thalamus and goes to the sensory cortex 3, 1 and 2 Broadband area. Apart from that, the A delta fibers is also carrying sensations to, that is called as what? Neospinothalamic pathway. What is neo? New in evolution. That is carried by A delta. Moves to the VPL nuclei and goes to the cortex 3, 1 and 2. Very simple. Okay, fine. Next question. Yes, so this is about endogenous pain modulating systems. A very important 5-mark question. To make the question paper tough, they can ask you this question, endogenous pain modulating system, but it's very simple in concept. Okay, before that, let me introduce a term called as analgesia. What is this analgesia? Anyone knows? Yes, there is a decrease in pain perception. That's it. There is decrease in pain perception. Okay, see, what is the most potent analgesic you know of? It is called as morphine. Very good. It is called as morphine, which is an opioid. And when will you give this morphine? Under the case of like cancers, okay, terminal cancers, we will give this morphine and all. So the analgesia means decrease in pain perception. Now how can I use this concept here? Listen carefully. In our body also, we have got morphine-like substances. What are those morphine-like substances called as? It is called as endogenous morphine. That's it. Endogenous morphine. What are those endogenous morphine in our body? Listen carefully. They are called as endorphins. We have endorphins in our body. We have dynorphins in our body. And also we have enkephalins. Endorphins, dynorphins, enkephalins. These three are produced in our body. In the form of opioids. They are produced in our body in the form of opioids, and because of this reason, we call this also as analgesia. That's it. Okay. Now let me introduce a term called as endogenous analgesic system. Okay, this we call it as endogenous analgesic system. This endogenous analgesic system is found where? Very important. It's found in the PAG. What is PAG stands for? Any idea? It's called as periaqueductal gray matter. That's it. Periaqueductal gray matter, that is called as PAG, endogenous analgesic system, is found there only. Now what I want you to know is that whenever you get a pain, okay, see what is this pain? For example, let me give an example of acupuncture. Okay, in acupuncture what we'll do? We will do needle stick at specific locations. We relieve pain. Yes or no? Yes. So we are going to do a needle prick at specific locations so that a pain is generated where it is going to activate your endogenous opioids and produces a term called as analgesic. This is very important. Acupuncture. You can write this point also, very important. Okay, clinically it is oriented, acupuncture. They can give you extra points, right? Okay. Apart from this, in any stressful conditions, for example, you are preparing for the exams, for the university examination, you are preparing very high stress you will be in, right? So in any stress, now if you go and fall down, you got bleeding in your leg, okay, you got bleeding, okay, you will never consider that bleeding, that pain at all during that kind of stressful manner. That stress, you will never consider that pain itself. So only in any stress there will be decrease in pain. That's it. Okay. Now this stressful reduced pain we call as stress induced analgesia. Stress induced analgesia. Now this stress induced analgesia is not due to opioids. Then who is coming into that role of action? That is cannabinoids. Cannabinoids is coming into role of actions. That is acting as endogenous. What drug? Pharmacology. That is anandamide. If you write this, they can give you good marks. Fine? Okay. To complete this topic, okay, to complete this 5 mark question, you should also write about a very important theory, that is gate control theory. What is this gate control theory? Very important. Gate control theory. See, you know that for pain we have A gamma, we also have C fibers, and these are the sensation of pain. This you know. Normally what happens when these fibers come to spinal cord, they come to spinal cord, they are going to activate a neuron called as projection neuron. We have A gamma, we have C fibers. These are the sensation of pain, you already know. When it comes to spinal cord, it is going to activate, from the spinal cord, it is going to activate a projection neuron. This projection neuron is going to project the pain information, to whom? To our sensory cortex. This is what normally happens. Now when you are going for massaging, okay, you are going for a good massage center, or there is something called as TENS. What is this TENS? This transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. This TENS is going to stimulate your A beta. It's going to stimulate your A beta. We discussed, no problem. So when you are going for massaging or TENS, what really happens? That is going to stimulate your A beta fibers. That is your touch sensation. It's going to stimulate your A beta fibers, that is your touch sensation, and it is going to activate, that is the inhibitory neuron. In where it is present in the spinal cord. Listen carefully. We have got, when you're going under massaging, when you're going under tense, it is going to stimulate your A beta fibers. Okay, that is the touch sensation, which is going to activate your inhibitory neuron in the spinal cord, and this inhibitory neuron in the spinal cord is going to inhibit your projection neuron. This inhibitory neuron is inhibitory, and it is going to inhibit your projection neuron. So pain perception is inhibited. This is called as gate control theory. Just write down this, you get beautiful marks. Right? Fine. So this is all about the ascending pathways, and we have discussed about the pain receptors too. We'll discuss some of the important points on CNS in another video. Thank you. Have a nice day.